Everyone, bonjour, and welcome to this French GCSE and iGCSE video tutorial. So this particular video is just a short video on how to prepare for the changes to the French GCSE exams from 2026, as quite a few of my students have been asking about this. So there are exams to French GCSE papers to certain exam boards as of 2026, from 2026 onwards. So I'm going to take you through what the main changes are, and crucially, how to prepare for the new exams. So, my name is Dhananjay Talwar. I've studied French and Italian for my MA at the University of Cambridge. I graduated some time ago now in 2015, and I've been in the field of education since that time. I'm really passionate about languages. I've learned more than 20 of them to different levels, and that includes at least 9 to fluency. So it's something that I'm very passionate about, and I really enjoy motivating my students, helping them to reach their goals, such as target grades. I have helped over 500 students so far to achieve or exceed their target grade in French GCSE or iGCSE as a full time tutor. Um, yeah, which has been a very rewarding experience. I've tutored other languages, of course, too, about 8 so far for GCSE and iGCSE, and some at higher levels as well. Okay, these are the French GCSE and iGCSE exam boards. So there are 4 exam boards as of August 2025 for GCSE French and 2 of them for iGCSE French. Um, in this particular video, we are looking at 2 specific exam boards, which are both French GCSE exam boards, so AQA and Pearson Edexcel GCSE. Because the syllabus changes and the changes to formats of exams only affect these 2 exam boards currently. So as of August 2025, at least, no other exam boards have announced changes to their papers from 2026. I believe the iGCSE French exam boards, both of them, are scheduled to make changes for the exams from 2027 onwards. But there's still a bit longer to go before that, and we should get more news of that shortly. But for now, we're focusing on AQA and Pearson Edexcel GCSE. So these are the only 2 exam boards that have definitely made changes to their French GCSE format and syllabus. Now, what are these changes? Many of my students have been asking me about this. What are the changes to these French GCSE exams from 2026 onwards, and how can they prepare as best as possible, as efficiently as possible for the new areas in these exams? So first, I'll just outline the changes to the syllabus for both AQA and Pearson Edexcel GCSE. It's very, very similar for both of them. The changes for both of those exam boards are extremely similar. So there's slightly broader topic areas. The topic areas have been altered a little bit, not substantially, I would say. But as always, if you're unsure of any of this or phased by the changes, you can always check on the website of the particular exam board. There are fixed vocabulary lists as well. So 1,200 words for foundation tier and 1,700 words for higher tier. This is in many ways helpful for students. It's an advantage because that means that for the vast majority of the parts of the different various different papers for French GCSE, for these exam boards now, you will not see words outside of these fixed vocabulary lists. Which means as long as you revise these particular fixed vocabulary lists, that's okay. That's you should be okay in terms of your vocabulary. So there are 1,200 words for foundation tier and 1,700 words to learn for higher tier. And both vocab lists should be accessible online for both AQA and Pearson Edexcel GCSE. Many students have been encouraged by this previously, and still that's still the case for other exam boards too. There hasn't been a defined vocabulary list to revise from. So this does streamline the revision process for many students. And it's a good idea to start revising this vocabulary and going through this vocab list quite early to give yourself enough time to cover all of it. But you can feel more confident and more assured because as long as you do revise all of the words here, you should be fairly well set. And there are slight changes to the question types for the reading and listening papers too. Some question types like true, false, or not mentioned have been removed. I believe you no longer have questions where you've got to answer in French as well, which again, many students would be happy about because they could potentially be more challenging too. So you may be required to write out answers in English in reading and listening papers, but unlikely that you would need to in French. Yeah, I believe that's not possible at all anymore. Okay, there are a few new elements to the exams as well. Again, we're just talking about AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE exam boards, and for the French GCSE exams from 2026 onwards. So one new element is the reading aloud task, which is part of the speaking exam now for these two exam boards. This consists of reading aloud a brief passage, which is slightly smaller for foundation tier candidates and slightly more extended for higher tier candidates. Yeah, I do have a separate video on the reading aloud task. So I really recommend watching that if it's relevant for you and if you know you're going to have to do this task if you're doing the AQA or Pearson edXL GCSE exam board. The other one is the dictation task. The dictation task is part of the listening exam, typically comes right towards the end of the listening paper. And that is where the student has to transcribe or write in French what they hear. So certain French sentences that they will hear in the audio. And they will get to hear all of those sentences 3 times. Yeah. So there are slight differences in the formats between AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE. Again, not hugely substantial differences, though, I would say. Yeah. So I do have a different video on the dictation task as well. So I definitely recommend watching through that too. There's much fuller information and details on how to prepare and how to practice in that video too. Okay, so the most important question though is how can you actually prepare? How can you prepare for the new French GCSE exams? How can you go into the exams feeling as confident as possible for the new material? And for the new tasks that you may have to do. And that's what many students are wondering and potentially worrying about as well. So the first thing to mention is that sample materials are available. Of course, for things that are completely new, such as the dictation task or reading aloud task, there are not as many sample materials available when there tends to be a change to a specific exam boards. They will usually release sample materials, but of course, you don't have the whole spectrum of past papers available for to practice these elements because these things like the reading aloud task or the dictation task are new. So there are not as many resources or past paper materials out there to use for those tasks, but there is something. There are some sample materials available on both of the exam board websites. That's a really good place to start. And if there is not any more material released soon, then I would prioritize using these sample materials and potentially even considering saving them towards the end. Saving them towards the time when it gets closer to the actual exams. Focus on practicing the new elements as well. Of course, they're new, so they're likely to take more practice. The dictation task and reading aloud task are new. Yeah, students will feel less familiar and therefore less confident with them. So they're likely to take more practice than other elements of the exams that students may have already practiced or even come across in past papers, for instance. Spend a bit more time on that and allow yourself a bit more time to build up confidence with them as well. The next thing is to practice sound symbol correspondences. So both of these new tasks, the dictation and the reading aloud task, they're both based on sound symbol correspondences, which is also something now mentioned in the syllabus for AQA and Pearson edXL GCSE. Sound symbol correspondence simply refers to the sounds made by certain letters or combinations of letters in French. That's important to be aware of in any case, but now even more important to be aware of for these particular exam boards. So do try to practice that. Practice writing down French that you hear as well. That can be very useful. And training your ear as well. So getting used to listening to French. Both of those skills will be useful for these newer tasks. And start learning from the set vocabulary list early. You do have the benefit of having a vocab list. I think many students who are studying other exam boards would be envious of those who have a fixed vocabulary list to revise from. But make sure that that works in your advantage by starting early. You know how many words there are to revise. You might be able to estimate how long it will take you to do that. So do give yourself enough time to get through the entire vocabulary list, and make sure that you're confident in knowing all of those words, whether you're doing foundation tier or higher tier. Okay, now it's just time for a quick quiz to test your understanding of this. So of the changes to the exams or to certain exam boards for French GCSE from 2026. So, question one: are there differences in the fixed vocab lists for foundation tier and higher tier? This was something I mentioned. I'm going to give a bit of time to think over the answers. Okay, let me show you the answer then. So yes, there are 1,200 words in the fixed vocabulary list for foundation tier and 1,700 words in the fixed vocabulary list for higher tier. So there's a 500 word difference, of course, between them. Yeah, that's important to be aware of too, and make sure that you revise from the correct vocabulary list for yourself. So yeah, you need to know whether you're doing foundation tier or higher tier. Okay, question two is true or false. The changes to the French GCSE exams from 2026 only affect the AQA and Pearson and Excel GCSE exam boards. Is that true or is it false? Let me give you a bit of time to think over it. Okay, let me reveal the answer then. So this is true. Yes, this is definitely something I mentioned. These are the only two exam boards that are affected by these changes. So students of any of the other exam boards currently, as of August 2025, do not need to worry about these particular changes. Question three, true or false again. There are more limited question types for the reading and listening exams for the relevant exam boards. Let me give a bit of time to think over this. Okay, I'm going to reveal the answer then. So this one is also true. True or false or not mentioned questions, for example, no longer come up in the reading and listening papers for these exam boards. And there are no longer questions that require answers in French. So those are just some of the changes to the reading and listening exams and the question types there. Question four is, what are sound symbol correspondences? That's something I talked about towards the end. Let me give you a bit of time to potentially refresh your memory. Let me show you the answer then. So, sound symbol correspondence refers to the sounds that are produced by certain letters or letter combinations. For example, the fact that H is silent, always silent in French, GN is pronounced N, and so on. Yeah, there are many of these, and these newer tasks are focused around sound symbol correspondences too. So, if you have questions on any of this or for information about more personalized help, you can contact me by email, through Facebook, or via Instagram. I do post on Facebook, Instagram, and even LinkedIn every single day, sharing my love of languages with everyone and trying to inspire more and more people to learn languages. Yeah, and I do offer many tips on how to learn languages effectively and in fun ways too. But I also yeah, post about GCSE and iGCSE, particularly for languages. And yeah, I do have many free resources, many resources available, including free ones for French GCSE and iGCSE. I run a Facebook group with tips, masterclasses, and more, which is free for French GCSE and iGCSE students and their parents to join. I do one-to-one classes, group classes, courses, and more. So if you'd like to know more about any of that, just get in touch.